Well, good morning, everybody. I see Pat's talking about the weather. She said it's 21 where she is. It has been burr cold, but I'm not going to complain considering the whole state of California is on fire. You know what I mean? I want it hot, but not that hot. It's actually going to be 63 degrees here on Friday. That means when I get done with my worky work and all that type of stuff, I want to be outside. AC, what is up? AC said it's 3 degrees in Indiana. No, thank you. No, thank you. Diana sent us some of her snow. Oh, yes, she did. She did. Diana actually sent a lot more. Look at that. Thank you for the super sticker. You know exactly on this show where it goes. Sophia, to my favorite people and family. I love how Nufflin says it. Family by choice. I absolutely love that. Diana, member for 21 months, said, bring Michael home. I love this. Justice is coming soon. Oh, yeah. Oh, it is. And Sophia gifted a Crime Lines and Lies membership. Let's do this. Let's do this. Alexis, it's negative 8 degrees in South Dakota. Oh, hail to the no. Now, Kat was supposed to come up here today, but she got tied up on a Zoom call. Juniper is supposed to come up. She's been doing a lot of interesting research about Michael. She is an amazing person. I had a great conversation with her last night, and with Aggie, it was great. So let's take a moment and tell everyone good morning, hi, hello, how are you? You know the drill. All right. Alexis, thank you for being here. So what updates have there been on Michael? I haven't heard anything in almost a year. Can anyone put the playlist in? We've actually had Stacy Wondra on the show 3 or 4 times. Of course, he's a suspect. He said a lot of things that made her jaw drop. A few days ago, Chief Huff addressed everyone, people of Idaho, and then some, on KTVB out of Idaho. And it seems to me like he's really throwing the gauntlet down. He's saying things like, don't even think this is a cold case. Don't even think it's not being worked. I'm paraphrasing, of course. So let's start with the newest update, shall we? Shall we? Okay, again, this is from KTVB, and we're going to see Brandy's beautiful face on here.
How has this case weighed on you in the last several years?
I can't really explain that in words, you know.
The Fruitland Police Department wants Idahoans to know it hasn't stopped looking for Michael Vaughn.
I have to say, they have a really nice police department. Absolutely. Better than the shit we have around here. And don't think our chief would take 2 seconds to address the news station. He'd be like, what? I'm still off for Christmas. Sorry, I'm a little nasal right now. I haven't been feeling good.
The then 5-year-old known as Monkey disappeared from his home in July of 2021. Abby Davis has been following this story, and Abby, the chief, says they're still sifting through tips and conducting searches.
Jude, he says
We'll come back to that because our girl Susan said it perfectly. I bet it haunts them. I'm going to say, I hate to use words like never, ever, or guarantee, but I guarantee there's not a day in that office where they don't go over Michael's case. I'm telling you, it is got to be the most weighing pressure on their chests. You're exactly right, just me.
Chief says they're still sifting through tips and conducting searches.
Jude, he says the case isn't cold even as the 4-year anniversary of Michael's disappearance approaches.
This is one of the worst case scenarios for any small city.
Okay, first let's take a gander at that. Entering Fruitland, Idaho, where Michael was abducted. Abducted. For the ones in the bushes that still don't believe it, it has been said over and over and over and over. Abduction. Entering Fruitland, population 6,072 people. Now then, when you think about that, that's a smaller police force. Am I correct? But you can't take anything away from this police force because they called in other agencies, went balls to the wall, continuing training and everything to make sure this can't happen again. No, 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 no. No. They're not giving up. Brandy and Tyler aren't giving up. So we certainly aren't going to.
Approaches.
This is one of the worst case scenarios for any small city.
The disappearance of Michael Monkey Vaughn.
He is energetic, very inquisitive, loves the moon and stars.
Brandy Neal's second youngest.
He wants answers to everything. He wants to know how everything works.
Neal wears reminders of him as she tries to make sense of all that's happened since the phone call from Monkey's dad that forever changed their lives in July 2021.
He was frantic and told me he couldn't find Michael.
I'd just gotten home from work and
It's a day Fruitland Police Chief J.D. Huff will never forget either.
I received a phone.
Okay, he said he received a phone call, but let's talk about what Brandy said. She gets a phone call from Tyler. He's frantic. Now, I thought about actually doing a show to kind of showcase the people that got it wrong, that they just couldn't get it through their skull that this was an abduction. They would have done anything to nail Brandy and Tyler to the wall. It never made sense to me. Never made sense. I said last night, a conversation we were having about Michael's case. I said, how do these people fathom that Tyler can be outside trying to find his son in the midst of committing a horrible crime? And if you have followed my channel for more than a second, you know from shows that we have cases, I shouldn't say shows, it's not for entertainment, even though we get entertained talking to each other, that crimes are messy. They are messy. Also, I did see something the other day with someone that said, are you sure? Are you sure they had dogs involved? Well, I went back to this, City of Fruitland, July 28th, 2021, and this wasn't the first time. We would like to thank the public for their help with searching for the lost child, but we need everyone to stay out of the area of Southwest 9th and Southwest 8th Street while we deploy a tracking dog. We will notify the public of any updates and assistance needed. Seems pretty cut and dry to me, but hey, what do I know?
He was frantic and told me he couldn't find Michael.
I'd just gotten home from work and
It's a day Fruitland Police Chief J.D. Huff will never forget either.
I received a phone call from my captain. He just explained that we had a missing child.
Huff says it soon became clear this case was different.
In those places where we would commonly see or find those children that were, lost for a little while, all of those areas have been checked and Michael was not there. We started looking at it from the criminal aspect at that point.
And it just kind of all melds together.
Good gracious when she said it all just kind of melds together. It all just melds together. Okay, off topic. I think there's nothing wrong with this because we might need a little bit of a break. Nufflin said, is it Kat's birthday? This week, Kat has turned into somewhat of another Kimberly man. You see, I had my dates mixed up and I thought today was her birthday. So I put a big old post in the Crime Lines and Lies Facebook group and I had to go back and edit it because instead of Kat just saying, thank you, she goes, my birthday's Friday. And I was like, damn it. So I went back and I edited it and I put an asterisk on Friday. So now everyone that tells Kat happy birthday, she puts an asterisk and says on Friday. So let's go ahead and let's tell Kat happy birthday. But at the end, we don't just sing happy birthday. We say on Friday. Y'all ready? Happy birthday on Friday. On Friday. We need to bring up Angel P. She can sing it. Happy birthday to you on Friday. Happy birthday to you on Friday. Happy birthday, dear Kat, on Friday. Happy birthday to you. Look at that. On Friday. We have a new song. Absolutely. I'm loving it. She's the new Kimberly man. Don't think I'm going to let this go this week. This on Friday thing has got me in stitches. OJ, get down.
Michael was not there. We started looking at it from the criminal aspect at that point.
And it just kind of all melds together. Just searching the questions, the worry. It felt like the whole world just stopped.
The whole world just stopped. Okay, then they start the excavation in the Wondra's backyard. Her world stops again. Tyler's world stops again. As you know, Brandy has been very ill. She's had a lot of things going on. I had someone that used to be in the Crime Lines and Lies Facebook group, okay? I took down the whole post because I was so sick of this bitch. Anyway, I said, what is the difference? I'm not crossing cases between Candace Wells taking off to go party with Kathy. We spoke about it yesterday. And Katie Proudfoot going down to Mississippi to be with her husband. Just tell me the difference. That's all I need to know. Because we had all these people that were, celebrating Candace going to hang out with Kathy for like 5-6 months. So this one bitch, I might as well go ahead and say her name in case you see her somewhere else. She's like, oh, but Brandy can go out of town. Well, old Brooks saw red then. You've got to be kidding me. She went to see her dad. She's ill. She has to go out of town for health reasons. Tell you what, some of these damn people, they wear my brain out. And not just on Friday.
They're just searching the questions, the worry. It felt like the whole world just stopped. And then kept going.
Huff says they've never stopped digging. The last major breakthrough in the case was more than 2 years ago. Crews dug up suspects Stacy and Sarah Wondra's backyard that sits just a few blocks from Michael's home. Police say they had credible information from someone living in the Wondra's house. The young boy's body was there. Cadaver detection dogs alerted to human remains, but none were found.
You said that you guys believe he was buried in the Wondra's backyard and then potentially moved elsewhere. Is that still the case?
That's still my belief.
He said, that's still my belief. Boom. There's your boom moment. We don't need to know what they know. We'll find out someday. We'll find out someday. But the cadaver dogs, we know, lit up like a new tanning bed their noses did in the Wondra's backyard. Just like when they hit on something in Brandon Shirtlift's mama's around her house. Okay? Sarah was trying to say that it was the next door neighbor. Guess what? All the poking, prodding, droning, puppy dogs, the whole 9 yards, found nothing. Brandy said, first time I left since Michael's abduction, except for Monkey's 7th birthday, because what happened at his 6th birthday. You, my friend, do not have to explain anything to anybody. Let Kat get mad at him. Brandy, don't forget, Kat's birthday's on Friday. I screwed up and said it was today, and she's got everybody and their dog telling her happy birthday. That's why the song is Happy Birthday on Friday. Happy birthday to you on Friday. You don't need to explain anything to anyone. They just need to shut the F up.
You said that you guys believe he was buried in the Wondra's backyard and then potentially moved elsewhere. Is that still the case?
That's still my belief.
The Wondras are still suspects. So are Adrian Lucien and Brandon Shirtliff, who lived with the couple at their Red Wing Street house.
Were you involved in the disappearance of Michael Vaughn?
No.
In an interview with KTVB last year, Stacy said
He's such an asshole.
he didn't know anything about Michael's abduction or where the little boy is today.
I have no reason to hide anything from anybody. I'm not that type of person.
Stacy has been in and out of custody for a couple of years after pleading guilty to an unrelated gun crime, then violating conditions of a supervised release. Sarah is in prison until at least 2026 on charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and destruction, alteration, or concealment of evidence unrelated to Michael's disappearance. Huff says he knows where Lucien and Shirtliff are, but wouldn't elaborate further on any of the suspects since it's an active investigation. He says he's confident the right people will one day be held accountable.
It's been said.
Confident that these people will be held accountable. Now, it gave me chill upon chill when I was talking to Stacy Wondra one day. I did not put it on YouTube. It is with the proper authorities. When he basically said that's retarded. You know, he's got such a beautiful vocabulary. He said, if there's no body, they can't prove a crime. And I said, oh, that's so odd, because we're going through Harmony Montgomery, her father's trial right now, and they still haven't found her body. I think I named off some other cases. Well, he stuttered a little bit, but he was very confident. But his whole demeanor is always, they don't have anything. They don't have anything. They don't have anything. Oh, big boy, you wish you knew what they had. Stephanie Murray said, sending love your way, Brandy. Your strength is unmeasurable. Facts. Facts, Jack. My friend Diana Howery, she has said it more than once. Matter of fact, she said it again this morning. We were chatting while we were having our coffee and getting ready for the morning. She said, Brandy and Tyler have what you call grace. And that's the truth. And how can you have grace under such immense fire, anxiety, hurt, pain, worry, and to conduct yourself so gracefully and with such dignity? Well, that wasn't learned. That's God-given.
Said in the past that, no body, no crime. I would just tell you that I don't believe that holds water. And the only reason I say that is because with the volumes of circumstantial evidence that you can obtain.
We need that one piece.
Okay, we're going to hear that again. People say, no body, no crime. He's like, not with all this circumstantial evidence. I really hope, hey, butterfly kisses, that Brandon and Adrian are aware of this interview. Not sure what access Sarah and her buoy bear, Stacy, have to the internet right now. If I was a correction officer, I would make sure to let them see the interview. He's kind of like, with all of this evidence, that's a lot. He didn't say speculation. He didn't say something he read in a Facebook group. Circumstantial evidence. And there has got to be a lot. A lot. Now it comes down to this, and this is the most frustrating thing for all of us and what we, have an issue wrapping our heads around. With all of this evidence, it makes you wonder, what is the DA waiting on? But then you hear Brandy, we need that one piece. We need that one piece. Yeah, this statement gave me chills.
On any of the suspects since it's an active investigation. He says he's confident the right people will one day be held accountable.
It's been said in the past that, no body, no crime. I would just tell you that I don't believe that holds water. And the only reason I say that is because with the volumes of circumstantial evidence that you can obtain.
We need that one piece, that one little piece to tell us where Michael is.
Do you have hope that they'll bring Michael home?
Yes. One way or another.
Huff believes there are people out there that know what happened to Michael or have information about his disappearance. The chief urges them to call or text this number with any tips, 208-343-COPS. You can also send an email to findmichael@fruitland.org. Jude.
Yeah, Abby, this tragedy has gripped the whole town of Fruitland. Whenever you drive through, you see all those signs and people looking for answers and closure.
Yeah, just devastating.
Thank you, Abby.
It's clear as the day is long. I've done show after show after show. There's one where I went through the entire crazy timeline from when Brandon got the clunky ass Mercedes from Tina all the way through their new pop-up jobs, odd jobs they were doing, up until the crazy, strange behavior that Sarah took on after Michael was abducted. Even Stacy used Michael's picture as his profile picture. Now that is beyond odd because he never gave a rat's ass before about a child being missing. Sarah put this up a couple of months after Michael was abducted. She says, stop murdering babies for your own good. God will not see this as your body, your choice. He sent them to you and you rejected his little gifts. He will see it as rebellion and sin and evil. So turn from your sins, confess them to God, run to Jesus and ask for forgiveness that you might be saved and sin no more. Okay. You'll get the hypocrisy here. Ask God today to forgive you. You first, Sarah. You first. Let's take a minute and let's look at, well, first off, let's get a reminder for those, I don't mean you guys, maybe people in the bushes or that want to continue the nonsense.
I'd like to note that after a year-long thorough investigation, the family is not a focus of our investigation at this point. They are continuing to fully cooperate with us in all of our efforts from the investigation standpoint. Today, as members of this community,
Family's not a focus. They had that cleared up real quick, but some people can't read. Every article that I read when Kat first told me about Michael's abduction, it said abduction, abduction, abduction. They doubled down. Chief Huff doubled down and said, every day that goes on, it's, I think it said increasingly more obvious that he was abducted. Someone asked what's going on with Sarah. The news clip we just went through, she's still in jail, and she'll be there till at least 2026. And who knows when old Stacy's going to come wandering out again. He can't stop talking. I wish he would say what happened. Well, he's tried, and he still says he's not a suspect. Guess he's not getting the morning news, because he is. They all four are. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe somebody else isn't involved.
I'm here to clear my name.
The people Fruitland Police is now calling a suspect in the abduction of Michael Monkey Vaughn spoke to News 7 Investigates Morgan Romero. Fruitland's police chief told us for the first time, Stacy Wondra is a suspect in the little boy's disappearance. His wife, Sarah, was previously charged.
With all the investigation, with all the investigations they've done, searches, you name it, they've never backed down from they are the suspects. I'm not the one. No, you're not. I don't understand what you're trying to do, but this is extremely disrespectful. We have a whole playlist where all of that is discussed. Okay. Brandy and Tyler are not suspects. Okay. We don't do that here. There's other chats you can pull that shit, but not here.
With failure to report Michael's death. But that charge was dropped several months later, though she remains a suspect. Now, along with the Wondras, police labeled 2 men who lived with them, Adrian Lucien and Brandon Shirtliff, suspects who absolutely know what happened to Michael. 5 years old at the time, Michael disappeared from his Fruitland home on Southwest 9th Street on July 27, 2021. In November of 2022, we were there as crews searched and excavated the property where those 4 suspects lived, just 2-minute drive from the Vaughn's home. Police said they had credible.
Stacy admitted on this show where they saw the child. Of course, the child that he mentioned seeing. Let's go back to the dogs out Southwest 9th and Southwest 8th in Arizona. The child morphs into a Mexican kid, a girl, an 11-year-old. No, didn't happen. But here's the map. You see the arrow where Michael and his family live. And then not far away, you see the home where they're searching. Alexis said, do you have contact with the parents? Because this is the type of situation the Cold Case Foundation could help with. They're very much involved. Cold Case Foundation is very, very, very much involved. Yes, Alexis. Can somebody put the playlist in so Alexis can see some of these things? But I have no problem refreshing or answering questions.
Information from someone living in the Wondras house that Michael's body was there. Human remains, dogs alerted, but ultimately Michael wasn't found. Police believe Michael was buried in the yard and then moved. Fruitland police sent probable cause to the Payette County prosecutor last summer to be presented to a grand jury. Police Chief J.D. Huff says a grand jury hasn't convened yet, but they will soon. Although that case centers around the Wondras and their roommates, Stacy tells us he knows nothing about Michael's abduction.
Stacy Wondra, S-T-A-C-E-Y.
It's been 2 months since Stacy Wondra was released from federal custody, convicted of a gun crime unrelated to the disappearance of little Michael Vaughn.
And what have you been doing since?
I've been trying to live my life the best way I can.
Stacy agreed to interview with me to, quote, clear his name.
I have no.
He's such an asshole. He also thought this chick was into him. He really thought Morgan Romero here, because she got him lunch and an Uber because he was faking sick, over at the hospital again. He really thought that she was hitting on him. I'm like, I'm not seeing that, but okay.
Reason to hide anything from anybody. I'm not that type of person. I'm an open book. You can ask me anything, and I will tell you an honest answer to it.
Were you involved in the disappearance of Michael Vaughn?
No,
Why do police think you were?
I have no idea.
Stacy thinks law enforcement's case may hinge on Adrian Lucien, one of the men living with Stacy and his wife at the time Michael disappeared. One of the men police are calling a suspect. Any clues or evidence that could point to that, from your knowledge?
No.
Okay.
I would never have thought Sarah or Brendan or Adrian would. Maybe Adrian, but
Maybe Adrian. He says maybe Adrian. But I never thought you were there, dude. And if you saw my conversation with Stacy, I think it was about a month ago, when he suddenly is 100% Team Sarah, Team Brandon, and they're going to do whatever they can to have Adrian take the 150% total fall. Let's go back to what Chief Huff said. They got lots of evidence. Crooked Arrow, good to see you. First to squeal gets the deal. I'd be squealing. I would too. Now, let me tell you about this turd here on your device, whatever you're using. He did squeal. He wanted a plea agreement, but it was conditional. Nobody in their right mind would sign up for jail just to get the cops off your back. No, you're going to lawyer up and be like, dude, I don't know. No, he was ready to send them all up the river. Every one of them. But boy, that didn't go his way. Glad you're here, Crooked Arrow.
I wouldn't have thought Sarah or Brandon would have ever done something like this. I was not even home at the night of the disappearance. I know that at that nighttime, Sarah, Brandon, and I had left to Cuna to go recover tow his vehicle.
Elaborate on that day a little bit more. You said you were working?
Yeah, so I did a taxi ride from Ontario to Boise. I know that I was gone.
Liar. Liar. Good morning, Anna Ruiz. He's a liar.
A good portion of the day from like 1 p.m. in the afternoon to like about 4. Spent some time with a former coworker or boss that I used to work for. I think I spent maybe an hour and a half, and then had come back home. And the neighborhood was completely solitude. It was quiet.
Stacy.
Why does the story always change with him? Why? Solitude, quiet. No, you said there was cops everywhere and that a cop told you that a child had been abducted, and then you switched it to missing. You knew. Lardass, you knew a child had been abducted. The police didn't know that yet.
Stacy claims he, Brandon, and Sarah left their house and headed to Cuna to tow Brandon's car around 5:30 to 6 p.m. on July 27th, 2021. Brandon blew a spark plug and couldn't drive it, he says. Fruitland police believe Monkey went missing between 6:40 and 7 p.m. that night.
When we got back, I think about 9.
By the way, his timeline has it's been tied up. They know where they were during the timeline where Michael was abducted. Chaos. What's up, girl? I do not think this reporter believes a dang thing that's coming out of his mouth. Nope. And she certainly did not want to leave her job, her man, and everything and move into the homeless shelter with him. No. He has no self-realization.
Monkey went missing between 6:40 and 7 p.m. that night.
When we got back, I think about 9 or between 9 and 10 o'clock at night, we noticed there was an excessive amount of people out in the community walking around the neighborhood. We had stopped and asked what was going on, and they said that a boy had been abducted or been taken, and it was news to me. It was news to Sarah, what it seemed like, and Brandon. We got home, Brandon and Sarah decided they were going to go look for the boy, and I was in the process of getting the vehicle detached from the truck because it was taking up the whole length of the street pretty much.
Stacy later clarified to me he wasn't initially told Michael was abducted, just that he was missing.
Yeah, he had to switch that real quick. Remember, they had to edit this. This isn't the full conversation. I would love to see the unedited. I don't really have that power, if you know what I mean. Big difference. And he said, the boy. First thing he told me is they said to him, a child was abducted. Then it turns into the boy abducted. Then he says missing. Mallory Parker said, when did this happen? I haven't heard about this till now. I'm glad you're here, Mallory. July of 2021. We have a whole playlist if you want to check it out. It is horrible. And you're right. He does look like the damn Kool-Aid man.
And where was Adrian that day?
Adrian and Brandon and Sarah all took a trip to Boise in the morning before I did my taxi ride. It was Adrian wanted to go see his kid.
He claims Adrian stayed in either Boise or Nampa all night.
Is that what they told you, or do you know that to be true for a fact?
I mean, that's just what I'm going based off of. I mean, I was told the same thing that's, all over. I wasn't with them.
Human cadaver dogs are highly reliable. Why did police tell you that human cadaver dogs pinged on your property at that home?
They didn't really give an explanation. They just said that.
They don't have to. They let you know. Dead to nuts. And yes, dogs are highly reliable. Now, I'm not talking about some freaking mutt that eats its own shit. They're highly reliable. Oh, they didn't tell me. They didn't tell me. They don't need to tell you. They're like, hey, dude. Those dogs' noses went crazy on your property. No one else's. No one else's. By the way, I pinned from Angel P. Thank you. I pinned the playlist. Go check it out.
True for a fact.
I mean, that's just what I'm going based off of. I mean, I was told the same thing that's, all over. I wasn't with them.
Human cadaver dogs are highly reliable. Why did police tell you that human cadaver dogs pinged on your property at that home?
They didn't really give an explanation. They just said that the dogs had hit around the property. But, I mean, there was nothing. I don't even know how that's even feasible because like I said, I've never even heard of this kid. I've never seen this kid.
It's not feasible. I've never heard of this kid. I've never seen this kid. You did see him, Stacy, when you were pretending to put in power steering fluid at the abduction site. You used his picture as your Facebook profile. And exactly, Dee. She said, no explanation needed in that situation. That'd be enough right there for you to start shitting your britches and get to talking. Come on. Why would he need an explanation? He has the answers.
Never knew anything about him.
Police said that they believe Michael's body was buried there and then moved. Can you think of any time that his body would have been buried there and then moved? Does anything stand out to you?
Not at all. They were saying that he was buried by the shed. Makes absolutely no sense. There's been no dig marks. There's no trench marks. There's nothing. The ground was a complete grassed area.
Could it have happened when you weren't around and it was potentially covered up?
It could have, very possibly. I just know that I wasn't around for any of it. I have no idea. I would like to know what happened to him.
They did say that they recovered several pieces of evidence at your home and on your property. Do you know what those pieces of evidence were?
Well, It's news to me.
The day after our interview,
He was playing with something.
Stacy gave a
Yeah, he was talking to me. Morgan Romero came across it and she put it on her newscast. He said he told a YouTuber, he goes, he was just playing with a toy. He was pretty descriptive. Now listen to this. And yeah, he's still a suspect.
Well, it's news to me.
The day after our interview,
He was playing with something.
Stacy gave a YouTuber a new piece of information.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to recollect as best as I can for you.
He, Brandon, and Sarah pulled over to put power steering fluid in his car right after they left for Cuna the day Michael was abducted. He says they saw a child playing by himself on the sidewalk down the street around the corner from the Vaughn's home.
The kid I saw did not depict Michael. I mean, he wasn't like a little kid. You know what I mean? Like he was, that's why I said it didn't concern me at all that he was out and about doing his thing.
Stacy says he doesn't know what's in the probable cause affidavit police sent to prosecutors. The one police say centers around him, Sarah, Adrian, and Brandon.
Do you think police have anything on you or your wife?
I personally know for a fact they don't have anything against me or on me. I have no knowledge. Again, I wasn't even home. I have no knowledge of who this little boy is, his whereabouts, or anything about him.
In his interview with the YouTuber, Stacy said his attorney told him he's no longer a person of interest in Michael's abduction. Chief Huff tells me that's not true.
Chief Huff tells me that's not true. He did. He tried to convince all of us, everybody that was in here. He kept trying to convince us he's not a suspect. Chief Huff said that's not true. And of course, we're all just sitting there playing along for him to keep talking. We're like, yeah, sure you're not, buddy. Sure you're not.
YouTuber Stacy said his attorney told him he's no longer a person of interest in Michael's abduction. Chief Huff tells me that's not true. When I called Stacy's attorney to get a straight answer, his attorney told me, quote, "I have no comment at this time," and hung up. I also reached out to Michael's mom, Brandy Neal, to let her know about this interview airing. She was appreciative and said the most important thing in the world is to get Michael home.
And we certainly are not going to forget that. I love how the attorney's like, no comment, leave me alone. This did not happen. Let's take a second to look at Michael.
Monkey.
He's fighting with his shadow. Giddy up.
Absolutely heartbreaking. There's the link right there, Juniper. Now let's go back to this interview that Michael's parents did, again, with KTVB. It has really, really stuck with me. The name of the show, the title is Do Not Underestimate Justice is Coming. I mean that for Michael's family. Do not underestimate them. The FBI, Fruitland Police, do not underestimate. And for the keyboard warriors like Stacy, that say, there's no crime because they can't find him. We heard Huff say that doesn't hold any water. They had no right.
You just got off the press conference. Can you tell me a little bit about how you're feeling about how it went and what type of information that they released, and how the investigation is going in your perspective?
I know there's a lot of stuff that they're working on that is new stuff that made me very hopeful that I'm not going to go into, but we both know that they're working tirelessly, so I always feel good when coming out of there. They work very hard.
When you say hopeful, can you kind of explain what that means to you, with these new leads, but what they're looking into?
We both tried to stay hopeful through the whole thing, but the things that they're working on make me hopeful that we'll have answers eventually.
Heartbreaking is what it is. Well, we have Juniper backstage. Juniper, you have your camera on. If you want to turn it off, I want you to feel comfortable. You don't need to leave it on if you don't want to. Lisa Wilson, have they hired a private detective? There's so many people working on this, girlfriend. Yeah, it's well covered. Let's take a second and give a round of applause to our friend Juniper. She's very passionate about Michael's case, his family, everything. Huge round of applause. Hello, Juniper. How are you? Or Junie.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning.
Good, sweetheart. I really enjoyed talking to you last night. Speculation only because we don't have access to the evidence. Who do you think is the most involved out of the four?
I honestly, I'm not sure. I do think there is some involvement. I don't know the layers of each person. I mean, I'm a spiritual channel. I go off of logic. Of course, I have logic and I want to listen to law enforcement. And law enforcement did say that they found anomalies in the backyard, correct? They did say that.
Yes, they did. And
the cadaver dogs did hit on decomposition in the backyard. Now, whether or not you found a skeleton or bones of someone, there is evidence to hint around with ground penetrating radar that something was disturbed. Okay. Then you have the weird confession between Sarah and, or this, Stacy saying that he never confessed, but Sarah flatly came out and said, Lord told me that he is in the backyard. I think it's extremely suspicious. And just because you don't find skeletons, we are not privy to, okay, the type of testing that they did. Now, there's a case that's it always reminds me of Michael. And her name is Kristen, I think it's Kristen Smart. Not Elizabeth Smart, not the one that got kidnapped and taken away. This girl has never been found. Kristen Smart. She was at college, and the guy Paul drove her home.
Yeah, they thought Scott Peterson did it. I know that case.
Yes, and eventually they did vapor testing in the ground, and the vapor testing confirmed that at one time she was buried there. And in court, they tried to argue this type of testing. They tried to argue that it wasn't, valid enough to send somebody to jail, that, cadaver dogs hit on it, and the vapor testing, the soil test. So what they do is they put something that tests the vapor, the gases, basically. When you decompose, they're testing the vapor. The soil gives off a gas, or gives off a vapor, and that's what they're testing for. Now, we don't know if that's
I
what they did.
I don't know what they use, if they use the vapors or not.
I don't know if they did that or not, but
I know they use that with
if
Holly
you think that
Bobo.
they did that back in
Mhm.
2000. She went missing in 2000, I think, before Michael. I can't exactly remember when she went missing, but the technology has been there for a
Kristen
while.
Smart. Oh, I think she went missing like back in the 90s or something. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
When she was in college with Scott Peterson, that was like even before.
Yeah. So that technology existed for her case. And that guy, Paul, who was the last person seen with her, he's in jail. I think the father got out, right? So, I mean, just because you don't have a body, but you have all these other clues, I think that's extremely important in this case.
Well, yeah, and I think Chief Huff, I think he put it in a nutshell for everyone. Even without having Michael, they have a ton of circumstantial evidence. Like Kat, whose birthday is on Friday, they found evidence. Everybody, let's use that today as our word of the day. What is the secret word? Everybody all together. Evidence.
What's today's secret word?
Ooh, interesting question. Let's go and ask Cocky.
Evidence. I will say that Brandy and Tyler are fierce. Oh, just like our everyday birthday girl, Kimberly Mann. She gifted 5 Crime Lines and Lies memberships. Thank you, girlfriend.
And he'll come home.
He's coming home, and they're not going to give up.
He's getting there.
You gonna get in the chair?
So with
Buggy, come here.
with the update that Huff gave when he said that they're looking in the area again.
Small one, right?
Do you know do you know kind of if they're looking at people that you guys know, or is it really just general, or is there anything you can speak to on that, or that?
We don't really know anything.
There's nothing that we can speak on that matter, and they're looking into every lead and persons of interest. We don't know those, and what I can say is that they're doing everything they possibly can to find Michael. So
Does it so Huff said, well, the family hasn't been cleared, but they've been cooperative. Do you have any comment on that? Like, some people speculate that, because the family hasn't been.
This had to have been a very tough interview for them. And I see where the reporter is going. A lot of people speculate, you're cooperative. You haven't been cleared. We know now that's not the case. They are not. There's 4 suspects, and none of them are Brandy and Tyler. So, yeah, people are going to speculate. It's so important in these cases, all of them. It's all going to come out in the wash someday, to follow what law enforcement is saying. So when they said from the beginning, this was a totally different case than they'd ever seen. They took it as they started investigating criminally very, very early on. They knew Brandy and Tyler couldn't have done it. Okay. Barney Fife could figure that one out. I just think that's a moot argument anymore. Don't you think, Juniper?
Yeah, I think that there is some type of involvement with how confident law enforcement is. It's very rare for law enforcement to tell a mother that they feel confident that Michael was back there and then later moved. That is not something that a police officer would ever want to formally tell a mother, okay, and make that statement public. Now, I struggle with the Idaho Police Department because I feel like they revealed their cards too soon. I personally feel like they jumped the gun, or not to be rude or sound crude, but possibly blew their load a little early with this case. And I wish that they had more evidence before they went completely public with it. Because
they have very, very solid evidence, or they wouldn't have publicly named for.
Why aren't they arrested then? If we have all this evidence, why aren't they arrested? That's the question.
I think that we just have to go back through what Chief Huff said, and like what Brandy said when she's like, we're looking for that one thing, that one piece of the puzzle. That one piece of the puzzle could be Michael.
Or that one string that's pulled and it unravels the whole case, right?
But as long as Brandy and Tyler are 100% behind Fruitland Police, FBI agents that are working on this, I'm not going to take their hope away from them.
No, of course not. And even though, I do astrology, I'm learning, I'm a student, I'm learning astrology. There's a lot of astrologers that have looked at Michael's case. I'm not the only one. Okay. I wouldn't even consider myself I'm not a professional astrologer. I don't have the initials behind my name. Some astrologers do. The book that I learned from is from Kirsty McIntosh, to learn forensic criminal astrology and the mapping. I am not the only person that has mapped Michael out to the backyard. There's other astrologers that have the line that rules Michael goes straight into the Wanderer's backyard. I think I showed you the picture last night.
Yep,
I mean, that's pretty amazing. That should give you a lot of faith in astrology, that that I believe that astrology is from God. I mean, I think that it is a way that he is communicating with us down here, especially when something tragic happens to somebody. There's that time frame of when somebody goes missing, and that's what an astrologer needs. We need the time, just like your birth time on your natal chart is extremely important. We need the city and state so we know which planets are above that missing person's head when they go missing, right? So is it a coincidence that I have Stacy and Sarah and Brandon and Adrian showing up in not the best houses for a crime chart? Of course, they're all given the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. I don't want to accuse anyone. If I start to accuse someone as an astrologer, then I'm failing all of you. I have to just.
Honey, I'm gonna stop you right there. No one's going to be hinged on anyone's opinion. On this channel, I can say we're following law enforcement.
We're following law enforcement, but I have to follow the rules of. See, I have to follow a certain set of rules as doing astrology. There's a lot of rules. There's a lot of. I don't know how to say it, but there's just like a lot of we have rules and we have really high standards about when we do crime and accusing people. We have to be very careful when doing that, right? I mean, because it's not my job to use astrology to hurt someone or accuse someone. It's just my job to tell you, hey, here's their planet. Here's the planet that was ruling the suspect. And they happen to be in the house of death and transformation. That could be a coincidence. Okay. But there's multiple charts that I have done. It's not just one chart. It's at 6 o'clock. It's at 5:30. It's at 6:30. It's at 7. It's at 7:15. It's at 7:21. It's at 7:30. They're in not the best positions. They show up in not the best positions on a crime chart. But that doesn't mean that they're necessarily guilty. Now, I have asked another astrologer to help me look at Michael's case because it is overwhelming. I am new. And she's very specialized in degrees.
It's very
McIntosh has done Michael's chart, and she's done a very good job with it.
And it's a very, very serious case. Cat OG.
It is. And there's another astrologer, Val
Hold
Evans.
on
She's
one
done
second. I
Michael
need,
as
hold
well.
on.
There's a lot of
Hold
amazing astrologers that have done Michael's case.
hold on. I need to answer some things in the chat. Okay.
Okay.
Kat said they would not have announced suspects' names and faces without evidence. They just wouldn't. Nope, that's been made clear. Chrissy, thank you for the super sticker. She said, Brandy strong, bring monkey home. Exactly.
Yep.
The holdup, in my opinion, right here, and I'm not dogging on the district attorney, but with all of the circumstantial evidence, I really wish, but here's the thing when it comes to the law and the, as some people say, the system, they get one shot.
Right.
If they don't have enough to convince 12 people, then
they're not going to, right.
It's done. It's done. It's over. So let's get back to this, and then we're going to go through some of your charts, okay? I asked Brandy today, and she said it's fine.
Okay.
Clear that they're guilty or they're this. But I mean, what do you guys take away from that? Because obviously it can be hard to clear somebody, just because everything is so outstanding. I kind of want to know what you think about that.
I think they're doing everything they can to find Michael, and like you said, it's extremely hard to be 100% on anybody. So we're just taking it as it goes, and I'm sure eventually we'll get there.
Have you guys been told otherwise? Because I know there's been rumors circulating around just online and even just around the community. Have you guys been told otherwise about being cleared?
We are working with law enforcement 100%. And
now I understand where the reporter's coming from. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I see where they're coming from. They just want to clear up rumors and get on with, the case. But there are so many things that law enforcement are not going to tell the public. It's an ongoing investigation, and there's no way Brandy and Tyler are going to jeopardize their son's investigation. Hold on. Doxy Mom said, do you or any of you in chat know if they found new evidence? Could they retry them? Nope. It's one and done. There's no double jeopardy in America. Nope. If that gavel comes down and 12 people don't agree, they might do a mistrial, but if they are acquitted, it's done. It's over. They could give a full confession 2 days later. Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. So I think it's very frustrating for law enforcement. I really do.
And they have given blood, sweat, tears, sleepless nights, overtime. I can't even tell you, missed kids' birthdays, Christmas, you name it. They are consumed with Michael's case.
Yeah.
And they're not the only ones. There's so many agencies involved. It's heartbreaking. I mean, nobody's more heartbroken than Brandy and Tyler.
Yeah.
I will say
my heart breaks for Brandy. It really does.
They are a very, very big part of our lives continuously. And we will continue to work with them 110%. So when everything is cleared,
when they're ready to take that step, we'll be grateful, but we know it takes time.
And just with information that's been released in the past year, I mean, it was pretty consecutive in the first early months, started to slow down a little bit just for police. And now it's been a while. This was the first press conference we've had since November, which I guess kind of contributes to just speculation around the community. With the lack of information that's been released from police in the past 6 months, which has led to this speculation, do you think law enforcement should release more information, or just to combat those people that are coming up with these theories?
Most of the theories, I think, are completely not grounded in reality for the most part. And I wouldn't want them to release anything that jeopardized the case. I mean, the person that has Michael could be watching, and I mean, it's I wouldn't want them to put anything out that they shouldn't.
Very sad.
I believe they've done an amazing job, and they continue to do an amazing job, and they're not, they know the facts, they know the truth, they have the truth, and the things they're working on is very important, because Michael is our son and they want him home just as much as we do. So for them to do what they're trying to do in their jobs is highly important, and I respect that. Yes, it is frustrating at times, but
Back in December, you told me that you believe Michael was taken. Do you still feel that same way today? And has there been new developments or anything that's made you feel more strongly about that?
yes, sir. Wholeheartedly. And we're going to find him. And whoever decided that they could take Michael, they need or has information, they need to come forward. It's been almost a year. It has been 351 days.
Do you feel strongly one way or the other if it was a stranger or somebody that knew him at all? Do you feel any which way about that, or do you just not know?
Don't know. We definitely feel that he was taken. I mean, there's been, Tristan's been here from the beginning, but it was thousands of people here. He's not here, so he must be somewhere else.
For sure, they had an extensive search. And like Chief Huff said, the usual places where kids would, run into, play in, hide in, they couldn't find him there. And they had to go with the criminal aspect. They went through Brandy and Tyler really quick because it was obvious where they were. And so they had to really get crazy with the investigation.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't imagine being Brandy and Tyler.
Yeah.
And living with this day after day after day, and being law enforcement, going through all this evidence and seeing things that would give you nightmares.
Yeah. And I do think that there's clues in the astrology that he was abducted as well. And of course, we always want to keep hope alive.
He was. That's proven. We don't have to worry about dancing around that.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I just get really nervous because I don't.
No, it's okay. We just have to. We already know.
Right. I mean, like, there's part of me that I have my own personal opinion, and then I have to. There's like my personal opinion. There's my spiritual opinion. There's my astrological opinion. There is my spirit box opinion, which, I kind of keep the spirit box separate from trying to you know, everything has got little compartments. I have my tarot cards, they're separate. But when it comes to the astrology, I try to let the planets speak for themselves. So there is hints that there's more than one person involved, possibly a male, possibly a female, possibly two males.
Okay, so we have suspects are 3 males and 1 female.
Right. So, I mean, is that a coincidence that the astrology on the DC line shows Gemini? So if you think about Gemini, Gemini is the twins, right?
I'm a Gemini.
You're a Gemini. Okay. I'm a Gemini moon. So that's great. It means you're a great speaker. It means that you can network and that you know, being a Gemini, you have special gifts to be able to talk to people online like this. This is all Gemini. Your channel is all Gemini. So when you're
raise your hand in here if you're a Gemini. Come on, tell me what sign you are. I need to know now. I need to figure out how to trust these people. Come on. Well, let's go. Hey, Wendy, how are you? Let's go through some things that you have uncovered. So let's start with this. You sent this to me last night.
Yes. So how location astrology works is you look at a chart. You think about a natal chart, but a crime chart has its own natal chart. Basically, it has a time stamp, and a city and state where an event happened. You pull up event charts, not birth certificates, when you go in and you pull up these charts. So I'm pulling an event chart, and Michael is being ruled by Jupiter, and there's a mile marker attached to that map. Okay, and that mile marker is the outside circle, if you can see it.
Okay,
so
slow down. Explain this to me like I'm 4.
Okay.
What does Jupiter have to do with it?
Jupiter is ruling Michael when he goes missing. Gemini is ruling the abductors.
Okay.
When Michael goes missing. So that's how I know immediately that. So the opposite of Michael, which would be his open enemy, is the 7th house. So anyone.
Okay. Again, you got to go real slow for Brooks. Okay. I've been feeling good. What is the 7th house?
Okay. Sorry, I get really nervous. Okay, so the 7th house.
Don't be nervous. Just just explain.
Okay.
No, please, no. We're harmless here.
Okay. Okay, so the 7th house is rules the open enemy in crime. Now, on a regular natal chart, it's your marriage, it's your partnerships, it's people who are your friends. So it's the 7th house is opposite the 1st house. So you think of the polar opposite, right? Who's your polar opposite in crime? So you have the 1st house, the 7th house. Michael is the 1st house. The open enemy is the 7th house. So in the 7th house, I have Gemini, which is the main line. So that tells me immediately I have more than one person involved. And out of the two of the suspects might be under 30. Okay. And they could be younger men. Mercury can usually rule men. Not always, but it can. Then up in the 8th house, and the 8th house is a very important house in crime. So it's right next to the 7th house, right? If you're thinking about the wheel. So I have Stacy and Sarah and Brandon and Adrian. They're all showing up in these 2 houses that rule an open enemy to Michael. Now, I'm not saying that they're the kidnappers. I'm not saying that they're the killers. I'm just saying their asteroid name placements are showing up in houses that are suspicious. That's all I'm going to say. It's very suspicious.
I understand you're being safe. I can be unsafe. I can say.
Yes, you can say what you want. I
can say they are losers.
Follow rules.
They are losers. They have evidence against them. I've talked to Stacy myself. So, I mean, yeah. I can say it. You do not have to. I understand where you're coming.
Okay. Because I have to be. I want to be a good astrologer one day, and I can't. There's just rules. There's so many rules in horror ray astrology. I think when you break down a chart, there's probably like 40 rules that we have to start off with to learn.
Okay, well, let's go. Let's not worry
So
about the
yeah,
rules.
I probably have broken a few of them already, but
That's
you know,
okay.
because
It's okay.
I am suspicious of
Let's
them.
take
I
let's
did
take a
post
break.
one of their natal charts, okay, on my community post. I posted one of their natal charts. You know, and that probably isn't the I posted their natal chart because I wanted to show you guys that this suspect is a suspect that's all known to you guys, okay? You can probably figure out who it is if you know a little bit about astrology, because he has Chiron in the 5th house. And I think this suspect has openly admitted that he has fertility issues. So Chiron is a wound that never heals. And the natal chart that I listed has Chiron in the 5th house. So that might tell you a little bit about whose natal chart that I posted. I didn't put their name up there, and I put their natal chart over top of the crime chart, over top of Michael's crime chart. And there are things that match up. His Saturn matches up. The moon is directly on top of each other. The moon is a second co-ruler of Michael, because Michael is 5 when he went missing. So the moon rules children. When you go missing, the moon, we follow the moon is very important in astrology. Now, the planet that was ruling Michael, so Michael's 1st house, AC line, was ruled by Sagittarius. So that makes his planet Jupiter. That means Jupiter was ruling Michael when he went missing, okay? And that line on your screen here is Jupiter. So I put the mile marker in, which is telling me to pay attention to these miles in this local neighborhood, because something you want to look on the circle of this mile for the victim or the suspect, meaning that there's something important about the outline of the circle, okay? Something to do with their crime. And it could be the distance of the suspects, okay?
Okay, and let me show you something, because what you have on your map, okay, it looks like the map is the same from what law enforcement came up with. There's
That's
the Vaughn
interesting,
family,
right?
and then the other dot is where the Wondras lived. Justice is coming. Okay, I'm going to put your map back up.
So I do find it bizarre. And like I said, I'm not the only astrologer that has mapped this out. Kirsty McIntosh is the one who I learned from. I watch her channel, and I have her book. Here's the book. To learn how to map these planets, she teaches you how to do it, okay? And then you should also get this book too. I have about 20 books. Anyway, so
I love to read, but I usually read like John Grisham and things like that. Do they have like a book on tape, or is it going to be a mini series? Oh no, I'm being serious.
They do. Some of them do. So basically, I find Michael's planet that's ruling him, and then I did the mathematics. There's a mathematical equation to that planet, right? And then I mapped it out. And I do you think that it's a coincidence that it goes through the Wanderer's backyard? I don't have an explanation for that. I don't understand how the universe does that. But like I said, I give credit to God for that. That his planet that rules him, that's representing him in his crime chart, goes to the mile marker that's right next to their house and goes straight through their backyard. Not only does it go through their backyard, it goes right by the shed.
Okay, now let's get to the next one that you did.
So that's where I started to map him from. Now, some astrologers I have seen have mapped him from, Brandy, their house, okay, their house where he went missing from, because remember, time is very important. So I have my friend, Astrology for Mystics. She mapped him out over top of their house where he went missing, and then I am mapping him out from the corner, because from what I understand, there was an eyewitness account of him on the corner of Arizona and that street there. So that's why I started my map right there. But even if we map him from over top of their actual physical address, it still takes me to the Wanderer's backyard. And it still takes me to the Wanderer's backyard between 6 and 7, like 7:30. Okay. So there's a time frame between 6 and probably 7:30 that it maps out the Wanderer's yard.
Okay.
And that's the prime time that, Michael went missing. So it could be a coincidence. I don't want to accuse anyone because I'm literally bringing up their house.
Now, well, you had
a line right through it, but I can't help it. That's
No. This is my channel. This is my show. Their house, their address, their names, their birth dates, their whereabouts have been public knowledge for a long time. Do not worry about that. Now, I had a question from chat. Madam Secretary, Christina, she wants to know, did you put in the 4 suspects' birth dates when you did this?
Not on the crime chart, but I have looked at the 4 suspects' birth dates separately over top of the crime chart. If you go to my community page, you can see I did do one of the suspects' natal chart over top of the crime chart. And what we're looking for is things to match up, planets to match up. Oh, and we're looking for important houses. We're looking for the 8th house, the house of death and transformation, the 7th house, which rules an open enemy to Michael. The 8th house can rule a kidnapper or a killer, okay? And the 1st house rules the victim. 4th house rules the end of the matter. The 12th house can rule enemies. So we're looking at these houses, and then we're seeing if their natal chart lines up with the crime chart. And it's just doesn't mean that they're guilty. It just means that it's suspicious, okay? And I have...
Hence the word suspect.
Yes. And for the natal chart that I have on my community page, the one that I said has Chiron in the 5th house, which means that they could have an injury, which makes them not able to have children. That suspect. His planet, there's a star. There's a fixed star named Algol. It's one of the most evil stars in the entire universe. It's the devil. It's a demon star. Now, I'm not accusing this suspect of being the devil or being a demon, but it matches up with Michael's demon star on his crime chart. So there's a demon star on Michael's crime chart, and then I put the suspect's natal chart on top of Michael's crime chart, and Algol matched up perfectly. And it's the devil. It's the demon star. He's very evil. Okay, and I can't make that up. That's where the planets aligned. And
I could definitely see the devil being neck deep
devil
in this.
is here.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
the devil makes an appearance on Michael's crime chart, along with transformation, extreme transformation. So there's a lot of degrees that show that there's a beginning, there's an end, there's a beginning, there's an end. There's some form of transformation, some type of pressure that a victim would be under. Of course, I want to keep hope alive for Michael. I don't, the astrology for Michael, it's a little grim, but we still have to be hopeful, right? That he'll be found and brought home, and that he's alive. That's what I'm hoping for. But there are parts of the astrology that does look that he went through a tremendous transformation, and I'm not really sure what that transformation was. So, but we still have to remain strong and hopeful that he'll be found and brought home. That's what's most important.
Absolutely, and that's what we need. Pat has a question. We have a few questions from the chat, if that's okay. If you can't answer them, don't worry about it. Okay. She said, can you map out where Michael may be today? That's my prayers.
Well, the lines are all important on the astrology. And yes, I've only been doing this a short amount of time, and I have mapped things out that just blow my mind, very close to where a body was discovered. There are plenty of astrologers that do this and do map out people. It's not like tarot cards. It's not like, this isn't a trick, right? There's no smoke and mirrors here. It's literally a mathematical equation and a planet, okay? And we're mapping, we're tracking that planet that represents either a suspect or a victim. And they do time and time again, they match up. Even I mapped Jay Slater out on my line of Pluto. And that was the first time that I ever really got confirmation that this stuff works. With Summer Wells, it mapped out, all the locations that they went that day. It mapped out areas that they were at. So, if it's mapping out areas that they were at, it's going to also map out where the suspect was, where a cell phone pinged, where a car might have been spotted, where a suspect frequents, whether it's a bar that suspect always goes to, a line might go right near there. So it's the chart is the past, present, and future of the whole event. So yes, it can map out where Michael is. And I do have a few spots that I have done in some of my videos where I've asked people to just please go recheck these areas, because
Blessed Mama wants you to do Sebastian's map at some point. And, and facts don't lie. Evidence, forensics, they don't lie. They don't lie either. Let's take a second and remember Michael and keep Michael's name out there. Share, share, share.
What is that, monkey? Bear. What is that? Hi.
Hi, Bear.
Hi, Bear. Hi, baby.
All right, where'd he go? Oh, he went back the other way.
Hi, Dad.
That absolutely breaks my heart.
Does mine too.
I am telling you, it absolutely breaks my heart. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think, not accusing, that Brandon Shirtlift is Walking Man?
I'm not sure. Did they ever verify who this guy was? Have they ever found him?
I'm sure they did, but they're just not going to tell us.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, it's a possibility.
It's heavy. Hello, Sassy Pants. And I believe it is. I don't expect them to tell us at all.
Yeah.
But let's take a look at what Kat put together. I've played it on here many times, but it absolutely encapsulates, is that the good word to use, what this family is going through.
April showers in the month of May.
Every day is a struggle.
The ground's still wet and the sky's still gray.
He's the sweetest little boy in the world.
But you're still shining.
He's always trying to help. He's perfect with his sister. They have an amazing relationship.
No melodies or words to say.
He's a wonderful, wonderful little boy.
Singing, and it keeps me breathing. When I
keep space out there. Don't let the story go away. Bring him home.
To a million pieces.
We do, comic books, monster trucks.
Put me back together.
I hope that, somebody finally sees one of these, or somebody finally gets the courage to come forward and give that tip that leads us to him, or maybe the person that has him, drop him off at a hospital or a police station, or let him come back home.
Through your tear-filled eyes and your hands that shake, darling, I'll be steady. When you're at the end of your tired rope,
we just know we can't give up, and so we have to have hope. We maintain that hope that he's coming home. We want our baby home.
Darling, I'll be ready when you fall apart to a million pieces.
He doesn't deserve this
Where to start?
thing every day gets us closer to being whole again.
Put you back together. I'll put you back together again. I'll put you back together. I'll put you back together again. When I fall apart.
Please. We are begging as a family, as a whole, as a community,
I don't know
as the world. We're begging, please have your strength and courage to give us something to bring Michael home. And Monkey, we love you.
When you fall apart to a million pieces, you don't know where to start.
My best buddy.
I'll put you back together.
He's coming home, and they're not going to give up.
I'll put you back together again. Put me back together.
That was just beautiful. We are begging, exactly. We are all begging.
Beautiful.
We are begging. And I've said it on this show many times. They have their choice between jail and hell. Because at this point, the 4 suspects, suspicion, evidence, whatever you want to call it, they are named suspects. If one of them has a heart attack, overdoses, gets hit by a car, well, guess what? It's straight to hell. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You're done. So would you rather get right here when you're breathing? Because you're not crawling your way out of hell. Not going to happen. But I want to say thank you very much to you, Juniper. Thank you for sharing and for
welcome.
Michael's name out there and being so passionate about Michael's case.
I really am. And now I just kind of want to tell you that there is now, when I enter Adrian's name on the chart, there is a registered sex offender by the name of Adrian as well that lives very close by. So I don't want to exclude. Now, that was brought to my attention from another astrologer. And he does show up in an odd spot in the crime chart as well. Because I think when we talked last night, you mentioned that Adrian wasn't in the area. Where I told you I had an Adrian show up in the first house, which means that they could have been in the vicinity of where Michael was at when he went missing. So, do registered sex offenders flock together?
Oh, yeah. That's all they know. That's the reason.
Do they all know each other? Because in Michael's area,
that's all they know. Scumbags know scumbags. They don't go to church. Yeah.
Right.
They've got lots of friends that are RSOs. I don't think it's the same. They know lots of RSOs. I mean, hell, Carson and Dorothy were living next door.
Yeah. Yes, and I have them on the charts as well. They're kind of showing up as kind of like secret enemies, kind of, to Michael. And this Adrian shows up in a few spots. So, I have to tell you that there is another Adrian that another astrologer has brought to my attention as well that we should probably also be looking at. Now, I do feel there's a car involved, absolutely, on the astrology as well. I can confirm that. I can say that wholeheartedly. I do feel like there is a transportation involved, transporting someone as cargo. So I can confirm that on the astrology. But I do believe that it is very suspicious to me. the suspects are very suspicious to me.
Oh, you better believe it. I need to answer something from the chat. Sassy Pants said, Brooks, how long has this little guy been missing? Since July of 2021. It's a horrible, horrible case. But again, I want to say thank you very much to you, Juniper.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. And send my love to Brandy and Tyler. My heart breaks for them. I saw that interview with her with Stacy when she talked to him, and it just really made me want to start looking at the charts again and showing you guys where the planets are and how they're talking to us about Michael's case. And they are talking to us. The planets are trying to tell us something, and we just have to learn to listen to them. And I am suspicious of them. And thank you so much. And my heart breaks for Brandy. I pray for her all the time. So thank you for having me on, Brooks. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Juniper. Make sure you tell everybody you were on here, and I'll let them know too, okay?
Okay, great. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, that was extremely interesting, and I love the passion that she has for Michael Vaughn. And yes, I did ask Brandy this morning if this was okay. She said, I don't remember who that is. You know, she's got a lot going on, a lot of people in her phone, but she said, yeah, absolutely. Keep Michael's name out there, okay? Share this. Sherry's flyer. Now that one's fuzzy. I'll post another one. And, you know, you all just keep being the cool, super, super cool people you are. Thank you, Mod Squad. I know it was kind of a rough day, but you guys are always here for the right reasons. You enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I'm going to start working on a video. Not sure if it's going to drop today, but if I don't see you today, whether it's in Discord, one of the Facebook groups, I'll be back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. because we're going to be talking about filthy ass Leilani Simon and her nasty calls she's making from jail. You guys have a great rest of your day. Love you to pieces.